Well, hello everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of RaceSpotTV Friday Primetime. The Touring Car Challenge heads to the Midlands in the United Kingdom and England, and we get going racing at a track famous for its participation, or its slot on the calendar of the British Touring Car Championship. Of course, that will be the case for the next track as well, but we're here at Donington Park, a track that's close to my heart. I'm Connery Maddock. I'm joined by William Chadwick, and well, Will, this is close to my heart because I used to live quite near here for about 4 years of my life when I studied in university, and it is a absolutely fantastic circuit to boot as well, especially for this kind of racing here late on in this championship.
Yeah, Donington Park's always a fantastic track. Of course, held the British Grand Prix, actually the European Grand Prix, I believe, in 1993. And yeah, we're here on the 1st of April on the InSim date with a 26-34 track, ready for some fantastic touring car action.
Yeah, absolutely. We're heading into round number 10 of the championship. We've only got a few more rounds to go. There's Alton Park for round number 11, same time, same place next week. That will be a whole bunch of fun before we hop back across the Atlantic to the United States of America, where we have our finale on the 3rd of February. Well, I should say the 3rd of March, actually. A slight mistake on our graphic there, but Laguna Seca is our finale, round number 12 at the very end of the season. So we can jump straight into things here because qualifying is starting to draw itself to a close at the moment, and we can also take a little bit of a peek at what manufacturers are predominant here at the moment, because the balance of performance does shift a little bit from track to track here in this series. That's just sort of the natural order of things here when you have no set bop really for each racetrack. It's just across the season, but currently it seems to be the popular option seems to be split between the Audis and the Hondas at the moment. We do have a smattering of Hyundais out there as well, but currently it is an Audi that leads qualifying.
Yeah, I think an important thing to note is how well the Audis get away from the line. So that's obviously an advantage that these drivers take into account, especially when we're looking at such a short race here. I think the whole balance of performance in general between the Hyundai, Audi and Honda is very good, and I think we'll see a really close race today.
Yeah, I think so too. We've got still a couple of runners trying to get themselves their final qualification lap done. John Brown is one of them as he heads his way through the chicane at the very end of the lap. Expect to see some hopeful moves down the inside at that first apex over the course of this race. He'll come across the line. Doesn't look like it's going to be a competitive time. In fact, he dives down on towards the pit lane instead. So with that, no one's actually going to be out there on circuit, it seems, for the final part of this qualifying. So we do have a couple of minutes just to chat things over here in this situation. In fact, not, because given the situation, we actually end the qualifying session early. It seems to be a habit here in the Touring Car Challenge, as we will go and have a little bit of a look at your starting grid. Unfortunately, that graphic won't come up for us, so let's see if it works this way around. There we go. Kira Wolf on pole position with Quentin Guinez in second place. Manu Realago in P3 with Naveed Hussein in P4. You've got Brown there in P5. You've got Anderson starting in P6 here today. Ollie Peacock starts in 7th with Jojo Baldi in 8th. Joseph Figueroa in P9 with Dan Mould in P10. And then you've got the runners further down. You've got Will Orton and Dominic Cortum down to P12 out there on circuit. And, well, we can have a look further down as well. We've got Andy Miller, Jack Johns, Juan Prada, and Tom Dadswell down to P16. And then the final 2 cars in the starting grid today, Mark Fletcher and Billy Fletcher. It's an all Fletcher final row of the starting grids here, Will. And, well, we're just about, well, maximum about 30 seconds away, but we'll jump straight into things here because they've all gotten themselves ready on the starting grid in quite short order. So we're going to go green flag racing here at Donington Park in just a couple of moments time. The release command has been set and Kira Wolf heads their way down in towards turn number 1. It's a big fight for P2 behind, though, between Manu Realago and Quentin Guinez. Naveed Hussein also getting his elbows out in this situation, trying to squeeze his way through as he tries to gain these positions on the start as they head down the Carrera curves for the first time on this first lap. No dramas, it seems, at the very front of the field here as they all try to negotiate those apexes through the old hairpin and on the exit of this first sector.
Well, yeah, as I mentioned there, the Audi's got away really well, and yeah, Gunez just dropping a position off from his starting slot here. But that is, it's not over yet, because this track is actually quite a slipstream track. You know, got a lot of high-speed corners, which it's easy to keep your speed round, a lot of slipstreaming opportunities, and well, that's not going to be the end of that, I'll tell you that. As we see John Brown going wide there, it's going to cost him a little bit of time.
Oh, and there's a little bit of shoulder barging as well as cars try to get their way through down in towards the chicane. The finals again for the first time. Someone's around. That's Dan Mould in the number 8 machine, spun in front of traffic, and it's caused a bit of a drama behind as cars go spinning out into the runoff. I think it was Andy Miller that got himself involved in that one as, well, it's a bit of carnage here at the end of the first lap at Donington Park. We'll take another look at it.
Yeah, they're all battling for position there. A few wide, a bit on the brake zone, just tap the Honda around. Really unlucky, and then it's a hard one to call, really. I don't think it was much the number 8 could do there, but yeah, it's caused a bit of a pile-up.
Yeah, it has, but we do continue on racing here at Donington Park, and well, there's the front of the train. It's a 4-car grouping that has kind of pulled away a little bit compared to the traffic behind. There's a little bit of slowdown penalty going on, I think, for Ollie Peacock there. He drops down the order. And, well, that is going to be a bit unfortunate for him. Down to P9 now at the moment for Ollie Peacock. So that's not ideal, especially in a race as short as this one. You can't afford to get those sorts of slowdown penalties and, you know, that lose you that whole bunch of time because you don't have the time to really try and make that up.
Keeping track position here is vital. You've got to keep yourself in the mix. You know, this top 4 are really well placed, all to have a chance at the win. But you know, if you're looking down to 5th, 6th, 7th, with such a short lap time and it only being a 13-lap race, it really is hard to make up the time, especially with the quality of drivers here today.
Really is, and you can see a new team livery on the car of Kira Wolf there. Gone to Zenith Esports, or at least has decided to put the livery on the car instead of going with an iRacing default livery here. You might see a few default liveries out there, unfortunately, because we do have our own system for submitting the paints, but when drivers change cars midpoint through the season, so that because they want to try and chase the BOP, they don't always remember to upload their team livery for the new car. So that's why you see that sometimes, but look at the run that Quentin Guinez got there through the corner, through the right hand of Coppice, and that'll give him a little bit of momentum coming down the straight here towards that final chicane, but not quite close enough, just remaining in line. This 4-car train continuing to try and break from those behind.
Yeah, you're going to need a good move on the brakes here, because obviously we've got the number 4 of Manuel Largo. He's also getting tow from Kira Wolf up front, so it's always hard for Gunes to make a move here. But as we get closer and closer, gaps down to just under 0.5 of a second for the leading cars, you start to see people make small mistakes and might have some passing opportunities open up.
Yeah, we just saw a little bit of a swap for position there between Max Anderson and Jojo Baldi. So Anderson able to hit his way down the inside quite easily, actually, in towards turn number 1. And look at how he's breaking away from Baldi already. So it seems like Anderson does have a lot of pace at this stage in the race. Whether or not he'll be able to catch up and join the back of this 4-car train at the front still remains to be seen, as it seems like Will Orton there made a mistake in the background, lost the position to the 5 of Figueroa.
Yeah, and I think if we look towards the front, there might be a move coming on here as we look at the front here. We've got Zenith East defending. It's Kira Wolf still quite close here, getting a run through the chicane onto the 5th lap of the race here. Will we see a move into turn 1? We're split similarly to last time. It's going to need a bit of a dive bomb if we're going to see anything happen.
Yeah, it is. Well, they all remain line of stern, single file for now. I think they know the danger sometimes in going side by side around here. It happens in pretty much any car. As soon as you get alongside here, you're basically alongside for the majority of the lap. So many times I can recall going door to door for an entire lap here of Donington Park. So, you know, you lose a lot of time as a result of that. And with those cars sort of adrift for P5 and back, still in the same postcode as these front 4, you don't want to be losing too much time for them to get other drivers involved on what should be your very own battle. But 9.5 minutes left remaining in this race. Kira Wolf has controlled this race from the front pretty well. There's been a little bit of pressure coming from behind, but no obvious move just yet. We'll actually get ourselves in just a moment and on board with Quentin Guines potentially. As you can see, the Kira Wolf feeling the need to move towards the driver's right-hand side there down the straight.
I think that's a really good point you made there, Connery. They don't want to battle too much and lose the leader, especially if some Gunes decided to try and make second place and it wasn't to be a very clean move and they were to go side by side for a number of corners. They could let Kira Wolf get away with this race here. So I think once we see one move happen, potentially Manuel Largo making a move on Kira Wolf, if they can make that stick, we could see a bit of a domino effect here where we see the battling increase as they try and get away from the 5th place car of Anderson.
Yeah, I do get the feeling that this is there's a little bit of an element of the calm before the storm at the moment. Drivers being very, very respectful for now, just keeping themselves in line unless there's an absolutely obvious opportunity to head their way down the inside, and that's what Manuel Largo might have spotted, trying to crack the inside open, but gets a snap of oversteer, has to correct and fall behind. It's triggered a bit of a battle for P3 as well as Naveed Hussein heads down the inside of Guines, and he's able to gain the position. Does he have the speed off the corner though to try and maintain that? Guines is going to come back at him coming through the exit, and we might still see that battle for P2 as well. No, Manuel Largo is a little bit too far back to make that happen, but the battle for P3 is still door to door, and Guines gets the position back through the chicane. Great battling between the 1 and the 3 there. Great racecraft.
But as we said there, that has brought the 5th place car of Anderson right back into things here. Got a little bit of a gap to the 7 car behind of Baldi, but yeah, the Honda here is now well within this fight as we've got 3 manufacturers in the top 5 here.
Yeah, we do. We have, well, 2 Audis that lead, but we got a Hyundai in 3rd place, we got an Audi in 4th place, and we got a Honda in 5th place. So things looking, well, at least if you look at that picture and look at it in isolation, relatively equal. But of course, there are preferences when it comes to pretty much every circuit out there with regards to the current balance of performance. But 7 minutes to go now, and you can see that battling kind of has sort of split 3rd and 4th off of the leading pair at the moment, so there's a bit of breathing room behind Manuel Largo that will be gobbled up bit by bit as the little bit of draft that you get from these cars starts to factor in coming down the back straight. But Largo basically pressed right underneath the car ahead of him, just for a couple of moments through Coppice Corner, but again, no room to be able to make a move into the chicane. He's just sizing it up for the moment, I get the feeling. He's just wondering if he can get that run. He's not going to act on it immediately unless it's an obvious move, but he's thinking probably more about the last couple of laps of this race.
I think that Manuel Largo could have probably made the move into the chicane, but he chose not to, losing a tenth, especially through that last chicane, which made it not possible really into turn one. I think keeping in mind that this is a relatively short race, and if you can make a move within the last few laps, you can probably make it stick to the end. So finding the time, obviously Manuel Largo very experienced in this car and in this series this season. We've seen him pretty much every time out. So I'm sure he knows exactly what he's going to do here and what plan he has for the rest of this race.
So riding on the back of Kira Wolf, looking back at Manuel Largo, who has some threatening body language at the moment is probably what I'll say, but nothing too committed just yet. Flashing the lights behind by Quentin Guinness as well. Not entirely sure what that was about, maybe just giving us a little bit of a show for the cameras, but into the chicane then once again. End of lap number 8, coming on to lap number 9. We're expecting around about 13 laps in this event, and well, still the status quo is maintained at the front of the field, but Olago now going to head his way down the inside. He feels like he has enough room to have a little bit of an attempt. Clapters the curb on the inside, not ideal, and it opens up the door for Corentin Guinness to have an attempt around the outside of the first part of the Craner curves. They get so close, they might have had a bit of tap between the two as they head towards the hold hairpin now. Still wheel to wheel as Guinness tries to rattle Manuel Largo's cage. Olago spat out into the grass a little bit, but they'll maintain the overlap coming through the middle sector. Hussein is also on the outside looking into this battle as well. Olago marginally ahead on the inside. Is there a space behind for Guinness to slot back into if he needs? He doesn't feel the need for the moment as he's continuing to hang it out there around the outside towards the end of the lap, but a good run from Manuel Largo will keep him ahead for now.
And what did we say there about letting the leader get away? A slightly uncommitted move from Manuel Largo, not quite getting the move done enough on the brakes, catching the curb, has cost them to go side by side for pretty much the entire lap. And Kira Wolf has ran away, extending her advantage by maybe like, what, I don't know, 1.3 seconds that lap.
Yeah, look at this though. Oh, big move to the inside for Corentin Guinness. A big lunge, a big sideways move, but it's not successful at all. That backs out of it, continues to bunch up this train now for P2. Exactly what you said, Will. Kira Wolf is just running away with this now. Gap is up to almost 2 seconds at this point, as these guys have their disagreement about who's finishing on the other 2 steps of the podium. You know, it's a train now from P2 all the way back to P7. So Figueroa is on the rear of this one, and see how many positions he can gain potentially as he tries to pick his way through. But look at this, everyone absolutely nose to tail as a result of these guys just not quite figuring things out at the front.
I think as we touched on earlier now, that it would need some sort of slowdown penalty, some sort of reasonably large mistake from Kira Wolf in order to not see them win this race at the minute. As we say, the race now is really for the second position between the 3 manufacturers here. We've got back to 7th place. It's going to be interesting to see who can pull it off.
I wonder as they head their way across the start-finish line. Just a handful of minutes to go, not many laps on the board either, as they head their way through Redgate once again. And, well, I have absolutely no idea which order everyone's going to finish from 2nd place and back at the moment. Wolf has P1 pretty much on lockdown, pending a mistake at the moment. I hope I'm not giving them the curse of the commentator, but should be relatively clear. But everyone else behind, this is going to be potentially quite a bloodbath if we get that set of circumstances.
I think if we see one car make a move, especially Gunnez on Manuel Largo, we could end up seeing many cars make a move, and it could be an incredibly exciting finish here at Donington National.
It could well be. Lap times have been about 1 minute 12, and well, for the fast guys in the mid 1 minute 12. So coming across the line this time, there will still be 2 more laps to go. So yeah, they crossed the line with 140 on the clock. So 2 more laps to go. Still some time to get this done, but I get the feeling these guys will want to be going forward now, and that's certainly the attitude that Quentin Guinness is taking, angling to the inside through Redgate now. Another attempt. So this is part 1 million between these two guys at the moment. Guinness marginally ahead now through the entry down the hill through the Craner Caves. Olago has surrendered that position. He doesn't want to get stuck side by side for another entire lap, unless that's the guys behind him start getting very threatening. But yeah, successful pass for Quentin Guinness, but this one isn't over whatsoever, and there's still a story yet to be written here.
I think, yeah, we saw a really clean move from Guinness there, and also a little bit of a mistake on the outside for Manuel Largo, not quite keeping it tight to Guinness, allowing him to have that position pretty easily. And now, under pressure, Manuel Largo from Naveed Hussain. Will we see a change for position there? Will Manuel Largo go from hero to zero, challenging for the lead and all the way back down to 4th potentially here by the end of this race?
Potentially through the final chicane. And, well, start of the final lap then. Hero Wolf has said goodbye to everyone behind, has that 1.7 second gap at the front, but which order is P2 in the back going to finish? That's the question that's still unanswered on the start of the final lap. Quentin Guinness got that pass done to the front of the train during the previous lap, but there's still ample opportunity for drivers behind to improve their positions. There's the confirmation of the final lap. Time has hit 0. And Guinness, he needs to defend for his life now if he wants to come away with this second place finish, because Manuel Largo is not going to let this one go very easily at all. Look at how close he's following up to that number 1 car as they head their way through, and a big slide off the corner opens up the opportunity for Manuel Largo to go around the outside. No, he cuts back to the inside. He leans on him, almost makes contact. There's the contact onto the final straight for the final time. And we see Naveed Hussain also looking for some way into this battle to get himself onto the podium. It's side by side for P2 through the chicane for the final time. Quentin Guinness has been able to hold on. It's going to be a sprint to the line, but there's not enough distance, not enough of a run for Manuel Largo as Quentin Guinness comes home P2 as Manuel Largo 3rd. And Naveed Hussain will have to settle for 4th. What a finish there, Will. By the way, Kira Wolf did win this race. We were preoccupied with everything going on behind. What a performance from the driver at the number 2, keeping out of trouble for Zenith Esports. But that fight for P2, my word.
It was fantastic into that final chicane. To be honest, I thought Manuel Largo was going to be a bit more aggressive in that final chicane. I thought they may make a bit more door-to-door contact, but it was incredibly fair racing between the pair of them there, and it was a monumental drag to the line. Under a 1/10 of a second, splitting the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place cars here, and some celebratory drifting from Kira Wolf there.
Yeah, certainly very well deserved as well, as number 2 car will celebrate a well-deserved race win at this stage. But my word, that is one of the better finishes that we've had so far this season. Unfortunately, our results graphic will not play ball with us for the moment, so I'll verbally run through the finishing results here. Kira Wolf takes the race win with Quentin Guinness in P2. Manuel Largo P3 with Naveed Hussain P4. Mats Anderson finishes in P5 with Jojo Baldi P6. Joseph Figueroa in P7 with Will Orton P8. Ollie Peacock P9. John Brown rounds out the top 10. Then you have Dominic Cortum, Mark Fletcher, Jack Johns, Billy Fletcher, Dan Mould, and then the drivers at the very back, Andy Miller, Juan Brada, and Tom Dadswell will round out the 18-car finishing results here today. Will, that was your first Friday night primetime race, and well, how well do you think that went?
I thought it was a really good experience. I really enjoy the touring car racing. I think we always get a nice, close racing. I think, especially when you can kind of bang doors a little bit, rub between the two cars. I think it's always a great spectacle to watch in such short format, fast action. Always a pleasure to be able to commentate on.
Yeah, that finish was absolutely fantastic. Add that one to the iRacing top 10s that the iRacing social media guys tend to do. There's the rest of the schedule, by the way. We've got round number 10 here at Donington Park, completely and overly done with. Next week, we head to Alton Park. We had a little bit of a discussion before the broadcast, Will, about Donington versus Alton Park. Apparently you're going to be driving in the real world soon as a track test, I believe, and you picked Alton to do that.
Oh yeah, I love Alton Park. Right near where I live, track that I grew up watching, and Ireland's a great and historic place for touring car racing. Been able to watch some of the races down the years in real life in the British Touring Car Series, and always a challenge to overtake. But the Island hairpin will be a key area for overtakes here next week, and I can't wait to see it here on RaceSpotTV.
Yeah, an absolutely fantastic affair here on the RaceSpotTV Friday primetime. Remember, we're here at the same time, same place next week, but that is all that we're going to have time for this edition of RaceSpotTV Friday primetime. We're very thankful that everyone is able to join us for these. They're a whole bunch of fun. Touring car racing is one of my favorite kinds of racing for sure, and well, we just saw an example of that at the very end of that race, but you certainly want to tune in for the next week's event, because we're heading to Alton Park, yet another historic track for touring cars, and potentially very similar action as well. So from me, Connery Maddock, I've been with William Chadwick here on the commentary. We'll be going to Alton Park next week. You certainly don't want to miss it, but for now, bye-bye.